Club Solutions Magazine podcast. And if you're looking for insight into top trends in strength training and group fitness, this is the episode for you. My guest today is Alyssa D'Aquino, the Vice President of Fitness for CR Fitness Holdings, which has over 70 locations across the U.S. And as such, she has such a unique perspective on what's trending in this space. We talk about hot Pilates, strength training trends, insight into what people are really looking for in group fitness today, and much more. Enjoy. You just returned from the HFA show, right?
I did, yes.
Okay, tell me about that. I would just love to hear what trends you saw and what the experience was overall.
Yeah, so very cool experience. We went to all 3 days. So the first day was looking at more at like the sessions. I went to a really great session about the state of the boutique fitness world. So we're really talking about boutique fitness trends, which, here at Crunch Fitness, we are a boutique studio. However, a lot of our fitness classes do mimic a boutique type of fitness trend. So it was cool to see what they were telling the boutique fitness world to do, because it made me think about being a leg up in the game. And honestly, it was a nice pat in the back because I was like, okay, we already do a lot of these things. So it was really exciting. But the most interesting thing that she kind of finished the session with was her thoughts on where the boutique industry was going to go. And it was going to be in like multi-trended boutique fitness studios. So right now you see they'll just have HIIT style classes, or they'll just have Pilates, or they'll just have cycle. And she believes the trend is going to go into having multi-formatted studios. So maybe they'll have HIIT and Pilates and Ride in one studio. So I thought that was going to be interesting, because actually that's one of the biggest pushes I say that we have that studios don't, is the fact that we have that boutique setting all in one big spot. So they can take their HIIT classes, they can take their group fitness studio classes, their Pilates, their yoga, cycle, all in one spot. So it was cool to see that she thinks that's where they're going. So now I have a kind of a leg up in the game to see where we can be a little bit different still.
Yeah, very interesting. Any other top takeaways from the show that, maybe people who didn't get to attend would love to hear?
Yeah. So obviously, I feel like the trade show is always the best part. You get to see all the really cool, innovative pieces of equipment that are coming out and all the different type of innovative stuff that they have. A lot of what was being spoken about was the relax and recover and like wellness part of fitness. So they came out with some really cool relax and recovery type things. Like we have a big relax and recover area right now in Crunch Fitness, but they're looking more into putting like infrared saunas in and lots of different cold plunges. I'm sure you've seen that's super popular right now. So seeing how we can get that in the big box setting, going back into like lymphatic system and stuff like that, and really focusing on that mind body aspect rather than just the physical aspect. I think that was the coolest takeaway. And they're really getting that into the big box gym setting where we probably have never been in that space before.
Yeah. Very cool. I'm jealous I didn't get to go, so I appreciate that little recap.
Yeah.
Well, to pivot a little bit, let's just go back to kind of talking a little bit about your journey. So can you just share a little bit about yourself and what led you ultimately to CR Fitness Holdings?
Yeah, of course. So my entire life, I was a dancer. I started dancing when I was 4 years old, fell in love with it. And a huge part of dance is fitness. You have to, obviously, they go hand in hand. So I trained professionally ever since I was pretty much in high school. So I trained on a professional team and then like a competitive team, really not professional, and then on our dance team. And then I went into college. I trained on our dance team. And that's actually when I started teaching fitness classes. So I've always attended group fitness classes and I love them. They're like, why don't you just teach? I'm like, I don't know. This is my me time. And one day I just got convinced, and the college I went to had a really great program to where you can basically take classes to then get your certification. And it was a great like mentorship program as well. And from there, I started teaching hip hop fitness classes and total body conditioning classes along with Pilates. So that was my first step into the fitness world, along with obviously dancing there. And then I danced professionally for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And at that point, I was going into my big adult job, as I say, and I was going into behavioral therapy. Loved it. It was such a great career passion, but there's a part of me that always knew that fitness was a big passion of mine. So I did jump into Crunch Fitness at that same point where I was just teaching part-time. I taught Tuesday, Thursday, 5:30 a.m. classes, along with then going into work from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. every day. And throughout the 2 years of me having that career, I slowly but surely cut hours back at my full-time job to teach because obviously that's what I loved. So I went from teaching at one of our clubs to all 5 of our locations in the Tampa Bay area, and went from being full-time at my big adult job to being part-time there and teaching at least 15 to 20 hours a week. So 2 years went by and I had a hard look in the mirror and I'm like, you know what? I love my career. I love what I do. I just never honestly wanted to go back to school. It wasn't for me. I didn't want to have to go and get my master's and prolong that. And I was like, I just don't know if I can do this full time. It's a lot mentally and physically and emotionally that you go through in that career. And I knew I loved fitness. So it was like, I don't know where this is going to go, but I'm going to give myself a year and see what I can do with this fitness thing. So I jumped into Crunch Fitness full time, just teaching. I taught over 30 hours a week, which I don't advise to anyone.
Wow.
But it was a whirlwind. So I literally taught from 5:30 in the morning all the way to 9 p.m. at night every single day. And on the weekends, my only day off was Sunday. And within that year, I think 8 months in, I got promoted to be a group fitness manager at a location that I never taught at. So that was a whole other, leap of faith because it was like, I'm going into this club where I had no instructors. And that really started my career. Back then, us CR Fitness, we weren't really focusing on growth. We're like, we're going to get to 20 clubs and that's going to be great. Hindsight, now we're at 75 and our goal is 200.
Yeah.
But I didn't see where that career path could really go there at that point. I was just kind of really going based on like my passion and my love for fitness. And I'm a true believer in if you do something that you love, the money and the career always follow. And that honestly holds true to what happened to me. But I went into getting that group fitness manager role. And then 2 years-ish after, we all got promoted to being district managers. So I went from running one location to 4 locations. And then a year after that, I got promoted to being a regional group fitness manager to where I was running around 6 locations in my area or overseeing. And then I opened up a new market, which was Miami, Florida. That was our first area that we are not in our typical Tampa, Orlando markets. And we are going across to the other side of the state and seeing what we can do. And my director at that time was like, do you want to do this? I'm like, sure. I had no idea what it was for me. I was just like, it sounds cool. Ship me out there. And from there, I went ahead and got the regional role. And she decided to step down kind of a year after COVID. So 3 years ago now, I got out the VP role. So it's been a really fun ride. And honestly, just learning as I go and being that can do, will do, whatever you need me to do attitude got me to kind of where I am now.
I love it. What a great testimony. Seems like that's the normal story that a lot of people don't realize that you can have an amazing career in the fitness industry.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people just kind of fall into it, but that's so cool to see your trajectory. What would you say has been one of the biggest learning lessons as you progressed to where you are today?
That's a great question. So honestly, I think learning how to manage other leaders, right? So when I was a group fitness manager, I was managing other instructors. And at that point, it's a lot of personalities you're dealing with. It's a lot of different types of people. You have your Zumba people, your yoga people, your group fitness people. They're all very different. So that I feel like actually kind of came pretty natural for me. I was always really good at that. But then teaching others how to lead was, I think, the biggest learning opportunity for me. And now I do for my people. My people are now learning how to lead people under them. And I actually just had this conversation yesterday with one of my districts, and she was like, I never knew it was going to be that hard. And it's like a little humbling moment where you're like, I can lead instructors all day, but now when you're leading other leaders and teaching them how to inspire and motivate others, it's not as easy as you think, because especially you take things personally sometimes, or you think emotionally, or you don't realize why they don't take it the same way you do. So that was probably the biggest learning opportunity I have. And now I'm trying to go ahead and teach to the people under me.
Yeah, very cool. All right. Well, I'm really curious to know just like what trends you're seeing in the industry and group fitness in particular. So if you wouldn't mind sharing just some high level views, that would be awesome.
Yeah, of course. I think we all can see the massive trend with Pilates right now. It's been happening for at least 2 years, but I do feel like it's something that's going to continuously grow. It's interesting because that was one thing that was spoken about at the HFA show was a lot of people, and I was kind of on that skeptical too. I'm like, okay, how much longer do we have in this Pilates realm? It's already been about 2 years. And if anyone knows, Pilates has been around forever. That's why I loved it. And coming from a dance background, I did Pilates in my modern dance class all the time. That was like always our workout prior. So I always had a love from Pilates because of my love from dance. So for me, I'm like, it's not new, but it's a new thing right now. But actually at HFA, they were saying we're just here in the States dabbling our feet in it. It's going to blow up even more within the next 2 years. So that was really interesting to hear. And they said in the next 2 years, it's going to more so be the reformer that starts blowing up. So again, it was really interesting to hear that and confirmed my thoughts on where we want to go here at Crunch Fitness. But I do feel like, again, Pilates is going to be a really big focus, but not just your typical traditional Pilates, but more of a fusion based class where you're focusing on athletic training with your Pilates or mind body training with your Pilates, not just your traditional Pilates focus. And again, thinking about reformer type stuff. Yeah. So I think that's one trend you're going to see everything going. And then again, the second trend is going to be more focusing on mind body wellness rather than just the physical aspect that you typically see in the gyms. So I think you're going to see a lot more of that in like your classes within the ambiance of the gym and the setting of it, and within the relax and recovers. Those are two aspects that I think we're going. I do still feel like strength training is going to be really popular, but you're probably going to still see that like drop a little bit in the high intensity, the cardio aspect as we kind of go back into that Pilates, mind body. But I'm a firm believer that fitness is just like one big circle. It's always going to come right back around. Yeah. So yes, we're going to go into this, but at some point cycling is going to get popular again. One point cardio is going to get popular again, and then we're going to come back around at some other point in the future. So it's just interesting because I don't think we've ever really truly been in the mind body space before, and that's going to be cool. It's going to be something new for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. Going back to the Pilates trend in particular, what do you think is driving the interest in it? Like, I know for me personally, I actually did reformer Pilates at a studio for over 2 years, which was the longest I was ever a member of a actual gym. And for me, it was because I'm not like a super, I obviously, fitness is important to me, but I'm not like hyper athletic. So for me, Pilates was very accessible. But yeah, just curious if you have any insight into why you think consumers are gravitating towards that.
I think you kind of hit it on the knot, right? It's an accessible type of format. And I think it's interesting for everyone because I feel like not anyone's going into Pilates like, oh, I did this when I was training in a sport or whatever like that. Besides maybe the dancers, they have a little bit of a leg up. But for everyone, they kind of have this baseline to where you're almost learning something rather than working out. So you have to go in and you have to learn the techniques of the reformer. You have to learn how to utilize it rather than just going in for a workout class. So number one, I think people stay longer because they're investing in that like education really. Yeah, skill rather than just going in for a workout class. And two, it's addicting. I tell people all the time, Pilates is a silent killer. You go in thinking like, oh, this is going to be great. And then you're like, oh my gosh, my booty hurts. My everything hurts. Muscles I never had in my life that I thought they're hurting, right? So I think it's that addiction of you feel things that you don't feel going out on the gym floor, doing strength training, doing a HIIT class, cardio class. It's going to hit all those small twitch muscle fibers that you don't necessarily hit when you're strength training. So I think that semi-addiction to it happens. And then two, it just kind of falls into the trend of being low impact right now, being not in that HIIT interval, that mind body type of thought. And Pilates along too with, I don't know if you've seen, there's so much more happening with like pelvic floor and thinking of a prenatal and postnatal. Pilates is a huge part of that. And I think that's another reason why it's so popular too right now is because since that's been a big talk, it goes hand in hand. So learning your pelvic floor and learning how to really engage your core. I tell people, and I've told people this my whole entire teaching career, Pilates is a great baseline for anyone because you are going to learn how to engage your core. And if you can't do that, you can't go out on the strength floor. You can't go into a HIIT class. You can't go into a regular group fitness class because you're not learning the bare basics of how to engage your core. And that's the basis of every movement you do. So that's another like thinking about actual professional thoughts, like you're learning how to engage your core is going to actually help you in every other aspect of life and fitness.
Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely love what you're saying because I actually got pregnant while I was like in the midst of my Pilates practice and was able to maintain it until I was 8 months pregnant.
That's
and
awesome.
I felt amazing throughout my entire pregnancy. And I swear it's because I was doing Pilates a few times a week.
And it probably made like like after your pregnancy made everything so much easier where a lot of people struggle. So that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think it's important because like what you're saying about the pelvic floor and things, like there's a lot of, women who do struggle with certain things, like you said, pre or post pregnancy that can address. And so for clubs that are looking to engage with women, it is a very appealing practice. But I think men are getting more into it too, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah, definitely. Again, I think where you're going to see that kind of shift in Pilates right now, where it's going to focus more on like that fusion base and athletic training. I forgot exactly where, but I was reading an article that they are like newer or younger athletes that are trying to go pro are putting it into like their training of doing Pilates to make them look different. because it helps them with so much more. So whether they're baseball players, football players, they're getting them trained in Pilates to kind of have a different competitive edge than any other player.
Yeah, very cool. Well, I didn't mean to take us down that rabbit hole,
No,
but
you're good.
it was fun. But I do want to talk about strength training as well, because obviously that's like you said, a big trend as well. And a lot of people are, investing in more strength equipment in their facilities. So just tell me what you're seeing on your end, and then maybe some of the things that you've done at CR Fitness Holdings that's new.
Yeah. So what I love about the generation right now is the fact that they all take working out so seriously. I know when I was their age, like I didn't think about working out like that. And I think just because of social media, so many younger people come into the gym and they're coming in for strength training. Again, I think it's more accessible to just going out on a cardio floor. You can have so many different ways that you find how to do strength training, whether it's working out with a trainer or going into a class and then getting out on the gym floor. But for us at CR Fitness, we've really taken a look at our actual floor plan and seeing, okay, where can we maybe cut down on some cardio equipment? Like back in the day, ellipticals were the thing. Now they don't get used up as much. So maybe we can cut down on ellipticals and really add in some more strength equipment where it's different kind of leg pieces. That's been a really popular one. So they can really work more lower body. Booty lines have been very popular, of course, and for everyone, not just the women. But you even seen a trend in men. I don't know if you remember, just like out in like social media, it was always like, oh, guys never train legs. That's not really the case anymore. Like everyone's training legs. So the amount of leg equipment we've been putting into our facilities has definitely increased in the past couple of years than where we were prior. And then two, making sure that we create functional spaces. So not just machinery, but creating functional spaces to where people can either master their body weight with like calisthenics, or they're utilizing like kettlebells and dumbbells and turf and sled pushes to where they're actually still getting their strength training in a different aspect rather than just machines. So those are two things that we're doing here at Crunch. And I'll tell you, we call them performance turfs. So it's a big turf with all these different pieces of functional equipment, whether it's kettlebells, TRX, sled pushes, whatever, name it there. And these turfs are packed with people, whether they're doing actual functional training, stretching, abs, whatever it might be, everyone's on those turfs, which is really cool to see. Within our classes, we do a lot more in our group fitness studio now with strength training. So most of our clubs have barbells. So we can actually do a lot of formatting with barbells. And then we're adding resistance bands, we're adding dumbbells to really get more of a strength training feel, because that's actually been what people want. Along with our HIIT zone classes, we used to have a lot of HIIT classes that are very cardio emphasized. Within the past year, a lot of our HIIT classes have actually been more strength training. And now we're trying to make sure we kind of go back to having a little bit of cardio and strength, but you're going to see a lot of our classes have a lot of strength training options. Because again, that's just what the member feedback has been, that they want to learn how to train in strength. And two, that's what they're wanting. So you'll see that in both of those trends. Another thing that we do too is within our cycle studio, we've done some fusion classes to where they can do a cycle class, like where they're cycling for a couple minutes and they actually jump off the bike and they do strength training as well. So seeing where we can implement both rather than only doing strength training to really kind of get the people that maybe will only do strength to still get a little bit of cardio. Because honestly, doing both is going to be the most important thing. Yes, strength training is really important for you, but you're still going to have that cardiovascular health. So making sure we implement it in all of our cardio studios, quote unquote, like our HIIT and our ride too.
Yeah, how fun. You're making me want to go to some of your classes.
You're more than welcome anytime.
Well, any other, cool classes or programming highlights that you'd like to share before we wrap up?
Yeah, I think something at Crunch that makes us very different from any other big box gym that you might see is our hot studio. So actually last June, we went from having just a hot yoga studio to a hot studio. So now we have not just hot yoga, we have hot Pilates, which has been our most popular format, as we were talking about the very popular Pilates trend, but doing that in our heated studio has been like amazing. And then we have hot HIIT classes. Yes, it's heated. We have hot fitness style classes, something that calls hot athlete. So they actually start with mobility work, because that's also a big trend that we see, going into some body weight strength training, a little bit of cardio, and then taking it back to flexibility. So that's a really nice format, because you get a little bit of everything in the heat, 95 to 100 degrees. And then we'll have a class called hot core and then hot mobility as well. So rather than just focusing on the hot yoga, we're offering a lot of different fitness style classes within that heated room. And our heated room is done with infrared panels. So it's all infrared heating, which heats the body from the inside out. Rather than feeling like you're going outside in the hot Florida sun, this is going to feel like a nice detoxifying heat. It's really good for you. And you can get a really great workout. And I just know we're focusing on doing a lot more classes in that studio this year rather than focusing more so on doing, maybe some group fitness. We're always going to be launching new group fitness classes, but our hot studio has been the most popular studio in the past year, we'll say, since we've launched all the hot studio stuff.
Very interesting. I think you're the first club that I've heard that's done something beyond just hot yoga. So very interesting. Yep. Yeah. Well, great. How about we end with just like a final tip for other VPs of group fitness or group fitness managers?
Yeah, for number one, I hope every VP does do this, but always be a student. Go ahead, shop your competitors, go see what other people are doing, because you will never know what other people are doing unless you go for yourself and see. Going to these trade shows is really cool because you get to have a different eye. And two, don't be afraid to take risks. Like, even if it's not something you think your gym should be doing, add it in, because it might be something that takes you to the next level. Like, again, we never knew we would have a hot studio, but why not? We kind of pride in the fact that we can be the one-stop shop for our member rather than feeling like you have to go to 5 different boutiques to get the kind of class that you want. So we like to think of how can we make fitness accessible for everyone and everybody. And that's just our motto here at Crunches. Take the risk, launch the class, and always drive your community and your culture, because that's going to always make sure your classes are nice and prosperous.
Awesome.